joining us. We hope that, get yourself comfy, have a drink, and we hope that our chat tonight on becoming recognisable will help you become recognisable, and you'll find out more as we chat.
Yes. So, well, bless you.
Excuse me.
I'll start off with a story. When I was still living at home, my dad ran a counselling office out of a room in the front of our home. And so we didn't have two phone lines. All the phone calls came in and could be answered by any of the phones in the house. And one particular time I was at home, the phone rang and we'd been taught walkers. And so I answered the phone, walkers, and as soon as I answered the phone, there was a woman's voice on the other end, and she started to talk about the details of what sounded like a pretty awkward relationship issue that she was confronted with. And I was in my teens at the time, and I remember thinking, I don't want to be hearing this. Like, this is not something that I want to be listening to. Trying to get a word in edgeways, but this person was caught up in the outpouring of emotion and felt that she was speaking to someone who was a safe place and would listen. And so as soon as she paused for breath, I just basically said, I'll get my dad back, and put the phone down and ran and got my dad. And people had told us that they felt like my voice was similar to my dad's. As a matter of fact, there was a time when if you got all three of the sons in our family together with our dad, there was a certain tone of our voice that was quite similar. And so this lady thought she recognised my dad's voice, but it was me, and led to a bit of an awkward thing. I'm really not sure how it turned out. I was just very keen to get off the phone and get out of being this awkward moment. And I think being recognisable is something that matters. And in the world that we live in today, a lot of people are pursuing becoming a recognisable figure, whether that's to make money through advertising, or just a desire to be famous, to be able to walk down the street and have people recognise you. We aspire to be recognisable. I don't think that's the full picture of becoming recognisable. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some scripture for some inspiration. And I'm going to read something that was written probably about 2,000 years ago. That's from the Gospel of John, John chapter 1. And what it says is this. In the beginning, the Word already existed. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. He existed in the beginning with God. God created everything through him, and nothing was created except through him. The Word gave life to everything that was created, and his life brought light to everyone. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness can never extinguish it. God sent a man, John the Baptist, to tell about the light, so that everyone might believe because of his testimony. John himself was not the light. He was simply a witness to tell about the light. The one who was the true light, who gives light to everyone, was coming into the world. He, this light, came into the very world he created, but the world did not recognise him. He came to his own people, and even they rejected him. Yet to all who believed him, who accepted him, he gave the right to become children of God. They are reborn, not with a physical birth resulting from human passion or plan, but a birth that comes from God. So this Word became human and made his home among us. He was full of unfailing love and faithfulness, and we have seen his glory, the glory of the Father's one and only Son. Now, there's a lot in there. We want to talk about being recognised. And when we're talking about being recognised, what does that word mean to you?
That someone knows who you are. If you're recognised, I can tell that you are.
Don't you know who I am? Yeah. Some feature of, it might be your face, it might be, as in my dad's case, your voice. It might be a trademark for a company to have people be able to know who you are. And as we move through our lives, like, this is what people want. Oh, don't you know who I am? I can have 1,000 viewers at your restaurant. And yet what we see here is that there is a lack of recognition. And the line that goes here is that the light came into the very world he created, but the world did not recognize him. This idea that the creator of the world stepped into the world that he created and yet was not recognized. Now, I don't know if you're a superhero fan. Personally, I'm a bit over some of the superhero movies. I like the idea, but this is the idea of the superhero who moves through the world as an alter ego. If you've ever seen a Superman movie, it's crazy, same hairstyle, same facial features, but just the magic glasses puts them on and is unrecognizable. For me, I've had a beard down to here before, and some people have walked past me and not recognized me because of our beard, and yet we're not just seeking recognition of who I am. There's something else greater at work here. And I wonder what it means to recognize a moment in your life. Have you ever had a moment that you've suddenly become aware that this is a transforming moment in your life?
I think it's often after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where you go, like maybe you met someone and you then realise that they are going to have or have had a great impact on your life. Yeah, or like even, you know, a moment when we met, really not thinking it was going to lead to anything, because we did not in fact like one another, but the impact, like that moment, that meant that you were in my mind, and then when someone, you know, then introduced us again later on, it was like, why do I know that person? You know, here we are. So there's like an impact of recognising, because that's the thing. That was why do I know that name? And it was like, oh no, it's that guy.
So there was a degree of recognition, but it wasn't a pleasant recognition for you.
But then, 5 minutes later...
Oh, you're killing the romance, because we all long for the story where two sets of eyes meet across the room, and in that moment,
that's right,
all these dreams flood your thinking. All these hopes fill your soul, and you're connected with this person who just makes the world a better place. Like that's the dream. Yeah. And we all want to be able to easily recognise that moment.
Yeah.
And I guess for some people that may still be the case.
Yeah.
For other people, we don't recognise it straight away because we actually don't know what we're looking at.
Yeah.
And so like, I'll share from my perspective. Even when we got married, we stood together on a beach, made all sorts of promises to one another.
Yep.
And I remember having a moment about 10 years afterwards, looking back at that moment and all the good things about that day and thinking, I was crazy. I did not know you at all. And it wasn't that you were a stranger on that day.
No.
But over the 10 years, I'd gotten to know you so much better, so much deeper, and I thought, wow, I didn't recognise you at all. And whether it's in romance, which is a nice thing to talk about, recognising the moment at work, or even just becoming recognisable. And yet, when we look at this particular example, the description here, there was a group of people occupying a territory known as Judea. And they were living at a time when hope was being slowly crushed. They were living under military occupation. They had just moved from being occupied by the Greeks to now occupied by a different imperial power where there were armed forces on every corner. And as part of this culture, there were various messages in their holy scriptures saying someone is coming. There was talk of a prophet who would arrive and point people back to God. There was talk of a line of kings that would rule forever. There was talk of an ancestry that would flow down to actually be a good and helpful thing to the entire world. So there were these threads through the history of this group of people saying something good is coming. And in the time preceding this, if you look up into the history, there were actually a group of people who stood up and said, we are these people. The Maccabees, they were kings who led armed rebellion against the conquering forces. And each of those was quite short-lived. It did not work out. And yet we see these words written after that time saying, the one who gave life to the whole universe stepped into your world and you did not recognize him. I wonder if you've ever had the awkward moment where you did not recognize someone. Oh, there's a story.
Oh, just friends and I had gone to see a play, and we were outside the opera house, and we were, taking a selfie with the thing, the play book, and one of the guys actually from the play came over to us and said, "Can I take the photo for you?" And I recognised him, but the other girls didn't, and it was like, I think he was probably thinking, surely they'll recognise me and ask me to be in the photo with them, but no one did. They just went, thanks very much. He took the photo and went off, and then he went back, and actually when we walked past, we saw the rest of the cast were sitting at the cafe that we were near. And I just thought it was a funny thing, because someone who thought, I'm going to be recognised, and that I thought everyone else would recognise, or like when we had just seen them, we had just seen this play, and yet they didn't realise it was the same person on the stage as off the stage that we just saw. So yeah, that was really funny.
And so then the question is presented to us: how can we recognise this God? Because if this is written about a group of people who had a cultural expectation that someone would arrive and provide some kind of rescue, and they missed it, then for you and I, as we are moving through a world looking for some kind of change, how can we see the creator of the world at work right now? And I think we recognise what we look for. And in today's world, it's very easy to recognise someone who opposes us, particularly if you go into online, where actually argument creates views. And so people want to be controversial. It's easy to recognise that. It's easy to take a contrary viewpoint. How do we recognise the one who wants to give life to the universe? And we can see here, I'm going to go somewhere else right now. There's a bit of a description in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25. And what it describes is a moment. And there's a bit of metaphor here. I think there may be a bit of other truth as well. But it describes the nations having to give an account for their actions. And they stand before, in this particular story, a throne. And I'll just read you. And he says, the king who's sitting on this throne says, "Step forward, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the creation of the world. For I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me a drink. I was a stranger and you invited me into the home. I was naked and you gave me clothing. I was sick and you called for me. I was in prison and you visited me." And then these righteous ones will say, "God, when did we ever see you hungry and feed you? When did we see you thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you being a stranger and show you hospitality? Or when did we see you naked and give you clothing? When did we ever see you sick or in prison and go and visit you?" And the king will say to you, "I tell you the truth, when you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you were doing it to me." And if we want to be people who recognise the creator of the universe at work today, we've got a clear list here. When we see the hungry, how do we respond? When we see the thirsty, when we see the poor, when we see the homeless, when we see the naked, when we see the stranger, how do we respond? Because it's our response in those moments that actually tell whether we can recognize the Creator in our lives. When this Creator moved through the world, those in power were often threatened by his presence. The religious leaders, the key personnel in the religious institutions of his day recognized that Jesus posed a threat to their power. His was not, you have to go through them to experience this new life, but his teaching was that this is for everyone who believes. Whether you have some formal training or not, whether you have money or not, whether you feel worthy or not, this is for everyone. That threatened the religious leaders. The kings of the day were threatened because his power was not a power of domination, but actually a power of celebrating those who other rulers would oppress, of recognizing the worth of a human in those who are often pushed to the sides and shut out of cities. And so this Creator, when he stepped in, was not recognized because he didn't practice power the same way that those around him did. He shared his power with the hungry and thirsty, with the naked and homeless. And if we are seeking to see God in our world, this example invites us to pursue those who are on the edges of our societies, to make space in our lives for the stranger, to make space in our lives for the hungry, to give without any expectation of return. And it is in those moments that we will find ourselves encountering God. And I love it. What we've just read tells us that often there's no bright light.
Yeah.
Often there's no voice from heaven. That actually it simply becomes how we live our lives. And like you mentioned right at the start, there's a retrospective moment when we take the time to reflect and go, that moment was about something bigger than me. That moment was life-giving, and I feel like it came from a place beyond me, that was a moment where I could see the Creator of the universe recreating new life right in that moment there. That's what faith encourages us to become a recognizable person who represents the Creator of the universe, a recognizable, life-giving presence on this life, because we have experienced that life-giving presence for ourselves. And so what we've just read here talks about others who then make a choice on how they will respond to that. But Jesus invites us to become a recognizable, life-giving presence on this life. A presence who loves generously, loves radically, loves beyond ourselves. Because the hope is here that everyone will become what's known as a child of God. That everyone will find a place to belong. That everyone will come to experience the love of this Creator here. And so we want to invite you to become a recognizable presence of love in people's lives. If that's a decision that you're willing to make as you're watching this, we invite you right now to simply say, Jesus, I give you my life. Give me your life. And if that's a decision that you're ready to make, pray with us right now. Jesus, I give you my life. Give me your life. Jesus, I give you my life. Give me your life. And if you pray that prayer, we would love to support you on the next steps in your journey, whatever that it may be. If you're watching this online, please drop us a comment or send us a DM. We'd love to support you. If you're coming through Southwest Sydney, we'd love you to join us in gathering around this table with others as we do on a Sunday morning. Thanks for tuning in. God bless you.